Our God wastes nothing. Every little piece of our life, every little piece of our heart, every piece of us, he uses. He wastes nothing. That's the thought that struck me today as I was reading from 1 Samuel 16. 1 Samuel 16 is a well-known passage, but I think that we focus on an aspect of the passage that's not inappropriate. It just misses another important point. 1 Samuel 16 is the passage where Samuel, the prophet, is called by the Lord in verse 1 to go to Jesse of Bethlehem. He sends him to Jesse of Bethlehem to anoint one of Jesse's sons to be king. The king that will replace Saul. For in chapter 15, Saul is rejected by the Lord. Samuel in verse 2 is a little concerned, like, how can I go? If Saul hears about it, he will kill me. And the Lord gives him a plan to take a heifer, to say, I have come to sacrifice to the Lord, and then invite Jesse to the sacrifice. And he says, and from there, I will show you what to do. You are to anoint for me the one that I indicate. So Samuel goes off on this expedition. In verse 4, he arrives at Bethlehem. And the elders of the town trembled when they met him, knowing that this prophet has come. And they asked, do you come in peace? Samuel replies, yes, in peace. I've come to sacrifice to the Lord. Then comes verse 6. Samuel invites Jesse and his sons to the sacrifice. In verse 6, it says, when they arrived, Samuel saw Eliab, one of the sons of Jesse, and thought, oh man, this must be the Lord's anointed. Surely the Lord's anointed stands before the Lord. In verse 7, God's economy starts to be revealed. But the Lord said to Samuel, do not consider his appearance or his height, for I rejected him. The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. My goodness, that's a reminder in and of itself. You know that old adage, don't judge a book by its cover. You want to know why that's an important maxim? Because we judge books by their cover. I was talking about this with my son, and he even admitted, he said, sometimes finishing a book is difficult because I get tired of looking at the cover. We look at the outward appearance, and we make pretty snap judgments. Sometimes subtle, sometimes overt. Stereotypes are based off of outward appearances. But God doesn't look at outward appearances to call upon his people and to anoint them for his work. He looks at the heart. Then comes verses 8 and 9, where we are going to have one son after another of Jesse just parade in front of Samuel. And one by one, Samuel says, this isn't the one. Verse 8, Abinadab, and he passes in front of Samuel. And Samuel says, the Lord's not chosen this one either. Jesse then had Shammah pass by, but Samuel said, nor the Lord chosen this one either. Jesse had 7 of his sons pass before Samuel. And finally Samuel says, the Lord's chosen none of these. So he asked Jesse, verse 11, are these all the sons you have? Jesse answers with this phrase, there is still the youngest. He is tending the sheep. Here's the thing I find interesting about that particular response. There is still the youngest. In Hebrew, that word for the youngest can also be translated the unimportant one. There's still the unimportant one. He's out with the sheep. And if you've read the end of the story, you know what happens. That Samuel commands for Jesse to send for the unimportant one. And when he comes, the Lord anoints David as king. David, a man after God's own heart. David, a man who is labeled the unimportant one. And should we also make sure that we point out the detail that all of this is happening in a little town called Bethlehem? One of the things I know about my Lord is that he doesn't waste anything. He just doesn't waste anything. He doesn't waste your pain. He doesn't waste your gifts. He doesn't waste your joy. He doesn't waste your passions. He doesn't waste your dreams. He doesn't waste a single aspect of your life, even the aspects of your life that you have deemed unimportant ones, or ones that you would rather not look at, or memories you would rather not visit again. Here's what I've learned in my own life, and here's going to be my challenge for you this week. Our God does not will the evil things that happen in our world. It is not his desire, and I'm kind of tired of Christians blaming it on him. You know, a child dies and people will say, Christians will say, well, the Lord, his ways are mysterious. As if the Lord's the one that said, I'm going to kill that kid. That's not who our God is. He does not will the evil that happens to us. He does not will the tragedy that destroys our heart. But one of the things I do know about my Lord is that he does not waste a single thing. For from the economy of God, the memories, the moments, the passions, the pursuits that we would deem the unimportant ones, he anoints and transforms into something that is actually after his own heart. My challenge for you this week is this. What in your life, what in your heart, what in your past have you deemed an unimportant one that the Lord longs to redeem and to use for the advancement of his kingdom? Let's take the lesson of 1 Samuel 16 seriously and understand that we worship a God who wastes absolutely nothing. I love you guys. Have a good week.